I'm licking my lips, and I think you should be too, because when it comes to JT Miller and the Vancouver Canucks, man, Donnie and Dhali has really been the source for all the conversations and all the ideas that we are bringing to the table in this video. So, we're going over two interviews that were done on the show as of late. It was Elliotte Friedman 2 days ago, who had himself a hit, and it is also Jim Rutherford, who went over onto the show earlier this morning. So, obviously, Friedman is a Sportsnet Hockey Night in Canada guy. Jim Rutherford happens to be the Vancouver Canucks president of hockey operations, so there is a lot of meat to the bone right here. Before we get underway, though, I want to give another big acknowledgement to the Besser family, because we did have the unfortunate news today that Brock's father, Duke, has indeed passed. So we did talk about this briefly yesterday in the Linus Karlsson signing video. We will expand a little bit more upon it today. The Canucks released a statement on their Twitter account. Here it is. The Vancouver Canucks are deeply saddened by the passing of Brock Boeser's father, Duke. A beloved member of the Canucks family, Duke's strength, courage, and positive energy was an inspiration to everyone around him. We offer our heartfelt condolences to Brock, Lori, Jessica, and Paul, and ask that you please respect the family's privacy at this time. So really somber, unfortunate news to kick off the video here, but heading back over to the conversation we're having instead about JT Miller and the Canucks' ability to re-sign him or trade him or whatever, I wanted to talk about what Elliotte Friedman said on Donnie and Dhali a few days ago as well. This was posted onto the Canucks subreddit, so I will leave a link in the description to the article if you want to go ahead and read it. But what this user did, Paye, I think it's how you pronounce it, I'm not really too sure. What they did was they summarized what it was that Friedman said on the show. Pretty much, the main sentiment is that a Miller extension is unlikely with the Vancouver Canucks. The timeline doesn't fit, and trade offers are going to be too good to pass up. Here are the quotes from Elliotte Friedman. An extension is looking unlikely with the Canucks and Miller, as the Canucks do not see Miller's age fitting their core competitive window. Trade offers have started, and this is playing a role in the Canucks' decision, as Friedman believes there will be a bidding war, and some of the offers they have or will receive will just be too good to pass up. Friedman speculates that win-now teams will be interested, as well as teams who feel they have a young core and need one more big veteran piece to add to be more competitive. Miller is willing to re-sign in Vancouver, but not for a hometown discount, or a home team discount, I should say instead. He's from Ohio, as likely this is his last and only big payday. The term can be anywhere from 5 to 7 years. An extension with Miller cannot be signed until July 13th after the draft, so it's likely any first-round trade offers for Miller will be for 2023. I like the sound of that a lot, because the 2023 draft is supposed to be deeper than 2022. Canucks like this idea anyway, as the 2023 draft is considered stronger. There you go, that's what I just said. Thank you, Friedman. Teams have inquired if the Canucks are willing to do salary retention, and the answer is yes, which would make Miller at 2.6 AAV. But Friedman says that will just cost the trading team even more assets. Boy, oh boy, could you imagine? Could you imagine JT Miller getting traded with 50% salary retained? You want to talk about value? Hey, Miller is a $5.25 million AAV player who's got 1 year left at this dollar amount, and he got 99 points last year. Could you imagine if a 99-point player gets traded over to a team, and he only costs that team $2.625 million on their cap hit? A $2.6 million player who gets 99 points in a season. My gosh, is that not an absolute steal? That is like entry-level territory when it comes to cost per point. Miller could have the absolute best contract in the NHL for 2022-2023 if any team goes out there and acquires him for 50% retained. And the Vancouver Canucks have nothing to lose. They would be getting more assets, they would be increasing the price of Miller, and they'd only need to pay him an extra year, so it's not really like this is all too much of a lose situation for Vancouver. Although, of course, Friedman did note, if Miller gets out on 50% retained, it would just make him so much more valuable that who knows if a team is even going to be able to afford that. Friedman also adds that this is a rare occasion, and it doesn't happen very often, that a top-line center coming off an almost 100-point season gets traded the following season with term left on the deal. This is so unique, and I'm so interested in seeing where it's going to go that we have to go over onto today's episode of Donnie and Dhali and read what Jim Rutherford had to say about the JT Miller thing as well. This is what he says on re-signing JT Miller for next season. That is the goal. We will see where it goes. He has a lot of good hockey left in him. We are in a tough situation cap-wise, though, and we are trying to untangle that. That's a very interesting word that he used. Untangle. I like it. We have a projected cap hit number for him, too. He also talked about re-signing Bo Horvat this summer. I really like Bo. Going back to his junior days, we had good discussions with him after the season. We believe he should be a part of the team going forward. He also says, when it comes to getting a second-round pick at the draft, everything is on the table, but if you add a high pick, you're going to have to give up a good player. There also is speculation that they're going to go out there and add a veteran goaltender for the Abbotsford Canucks, so that is a pretty interesting thing, too. I was kind of preaching on Twitter earlier today. I want the Abbotsford Canucks to sign Corey Schneider because, yeah, that guy's a free agent again, and he's a veteran goaltender. I want to see Corey Schneider back in the blue, white, and green. Either way, we also had ourselves Rutherford saying that if we do trade JT Miller, we will add a draft pick, but we will lose out on a great player. You gotta remember, Rutherford also said before that if the Canucks and Miller cannot come to an agreement, then there will have to be a non-emotional decision to improve the team with assets, trade for picks, trade for prospects, trade for whatever, and using Miller as your prime bait in those situations. So I'm really interested, of course, in seeing where it's going to go. If Miller does go for 50% retained, like Elliotte Friedman said, is a possibility because apparently the Canucks said they're willing to do that, then give me all the first, baby. Give us all of the first-round picks, all the prospects, everything of value under the sun, and send it to Vancouver because JT Miller is a 100-point player who could potentially be yours if you're looking to add this guy for $2.6 million a year on a one-year contract. That's huge. And, I mean, what else is there to say that has not already been said already? Like, we've chronicled almost every Canucks game this season, and time again, even though the Vancouver fans have had some really bad games, we had some really terrible showcases of defense and goaltending and back-and-forth hockey, even though the team sucked. The constant throughout the year was that, hey, at least JT Miller got a point. Hey, at least JT Miller got 2 assists. Hey, at least JT Miller scored a goal. Hey, at least JT Miller went out there and actually produced. He had 99 points in 80 games this season. He was a 100-point player right there, and the Canucks are now going to trade this guy away, or at least it looks like it. Taj also compared the quotes from Rutherford and Miller versus Rutherford and Bo. You could really see the difference between how Rutherford talked about re-signing Horvat compared to re-signing Miller. Really like Bo, we should be a part of the team, yada yada yada. But for Miller, hey, we're in a tough spot. We're going to try to untangle our cap situation, but for now, we don't really know if that's possible. So, for JT Miller, it's looking more and more likely like he is going to get traded. Talk to me in the comments all your thoughts about where you think he should go and what kind of haul the Vancouver Canucks should expect in a JT Miller return package. If it's a 50% salary retained thing too, how do you think that changes up the conversation? For me personally, I don't even have an answer for you. Like, it's tough to quantify. It's tough to verbalize just how much more $2.6 million in cap savings could actually equate to when it comes to adding some more assets in a trade. Because, I mean, 50% salary retained, it's only really done for the stars that are going from teams that are rental situations, right? Like Mark Giordano, of course. You had all the other guys, Marc-Andre Fleury. These are big names, and you see that the salary retention definitely does add some value for the teams that are trading these players away. But talk to me in the comments all your thoughts about JT Miller and the trade saga, 50% retained, Friedman, Rutherford, etc. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.